Have you ever sat there watching a finance video, nodding your head, thinking, yeah, that makes sense. I should be doing that. And for a moment, it feels like something finally clicked. You understand saving, you understand investing, you even understand things like compound interest. But then a few weeks pass. Your spending hasn't really changed. Your savings still feel inconsistent. And somehow you're still in the same place. And that's the part no one really talks about. Because the truth is, learning about money is one thing. Actually, changing your financial life is something completely different. Most people think the problem is a lack of knowledge. They believe that if they just read one more book, watch one more video, learn one more strategy, everything will finally fall into place. But if that were true, then anyone who understands basic money principles would be financially stable. And we both know that's not how it works. There are people who can explain investing better than most, but still live paycheck to paycheck. There are people who know exactly how budgeting works, but avoid looking at their bank account. So the issue isn't that people don't know what to do, it's that knowing doesn't automatically turn into doing. And that gap between knowledge and behavior is where most financial struggles actually live. Think about it like this: if knowledge alone was enough, then things like eating healthy or exercising regularly would be easy. But they're not, because humans don't make decisions based purely on logic. We make decisions based on emotion, habit, environment, and sometimes just how we feel in the moment. Money works the same way. You might know that saving is important, but after a long, stressful day, ordering food feels easier than cooking. You might understand investing, but the idea of losing money still makes you hesitate. You might have a budget, but when you feel like you've earned a reward, that budget suddenly becomes flexible. And none of this means you're irresponsible. It just means you're human. A lot of financial advice is built on the assumption that people behave rationally all the time. But real life doesn't look like that. Real life is messy. It's unexpected expenses, it's pressure from friends or family, it's wanting to enjoy your life now, while also trying to prepare for the future. And those two things often pull in opposite directions. There's also something else happening in the background that most people don't notice. Your financial behavior is shaped long before you ever start learning about money. It comes from what you saw growing up, how your family handled money, what was considered normal, whether money felt stable or constantly stressful. If you grew up in an environment where money was tight, you might develop a habit of spending quickly because subconsciously you don't expect it to stay. If you grew up seeing money used as a reward, you might associate spending with comfort or relief. And even when you learn better strategies later in life, those early patterns don't just disappear. They stay with you, quietly influencing your decisions. That's why someone can understand everything about saving and still feel uncomfortable actually doing it. Because saving doesn't just require discipline, it requires feeling safe enough to delay gratification. And for a lot of people, that feeling doesn't come naturally. There's also the issue of time. Most financial advice is built around long term thinking. Invest now, it's benefit later, save today, feel secure in the future, but your brain isn't wired to prioritize the future. It's wired to respond to what's happening right now. So when you're choosing between something that gives you immediate satisfaction and something that benefits you years from now, your brain naturally leans toward the present. Not because you're making a bad decision, but because that's how humans are designed. And this creates a quiet internal conflict. You know what's better long term, but in the moment, it doesn't always feel like the better choice. Over time, these small decisions add up, not in a dramatic way, but in a slow, almost invisible way. You spend a little more than planned. You delay saving just this month. You tell yourself you'll start fresh later. And before you realize it, months have passed, sometimes even years. And the frustrating part is, you're not confused. You understand exactly what you should be doing, but your actions haven't caught up to your knowledge. So here's the shift that changes everything. You stop treating money as a knowledge problem and start seeing it as a behavior problem. Because once you see it that way, the question changes. It's no longer, what should I be doing? It becomes, why am I not doing what I already know? And that question is a lot more honest. It forces you to look at things like what triggers your spending, what situations make you avoid your finances, what emotions are tied to your money decisions, because that's where the real answers are. Not in another strategy, not in another tip, but in understanding your own patterns. For example, if you notice that you tend to overspend when you're stressed, then the issue isn't budgeting, it's stress management. If you avoid checking your bank account because it makes you anxious, then the issue isn't math, it's your relationship with money. And when you start addressing those deeper layers, your behavior begins to shift naturally, not perfectly, but gradually. And that's what actually creates change. So, what does this look like in real life? It starts with slowing down your decisions. Instead of reacting automatically, you pause, even for a few seconds. You give yourself space to ask, do I actually want this? Or am I just responding to a feeling? That small pause can change more than you expect. Another shift is making your environment work for you because willpower is unreliable, but systems are consistent. If saving feels hard, you remove the decision completely. You automate it. So it happens without needing motivation. If spending is too easy, you add small barriers, not to punish yourself, but to create awareness. Even something as simple as waiting a day before making a purchase can reduce impulse decisions. And then there's consistency, not perfection, because the idea that you need to get everything right all the time is what causes most people to give up. In reality, financial progress comes from small, repeated actions, saving a little regularly, spending slightly less than you earn consistently. It doesn't feel impressive in the moment, but over time, it compounds quietly, almost unnoticed, until one day things start to feel different. Not because of one big decision, but because of hundreds of small ones. If you've ever felt like you understand money, but still struggle with it, there's nothing wrong with you. You're not behind. You're not incapable. You're just dealing with something deeper than information. Money isn't just numbers, it's behavior, it's emotion, it's habit. And those things take time to change. So instead of asking yourself why you're not doing everything perfectly, maybe ask something simpler. What's one small decision I can make differently today? Because progress with money doesn't come from knowing more, it comes from doing a little more consistently. And that's something you can build slowly, calmly, one decision at a time.